kickstart this webinar today with the name is AI Replacing Recruiters and What's Next in the Talent Acquisition in 2025. So we will have one hour webinar with interesting discussion and also a demo of AI ALLPS platform. And then we also leave comments, space for your questions. We do this webinar in collaboration with Swiss AI Week, so you might have seen that this is running now, September and early October, Swiss AI Weeks with different webinars, different events. So we are doing this in collaboration with Swiss AI Weeks. But to our topic of today, so AI is a hot topic. It's also a hot topic in recruitment, in HR management, and it's not just the buzzword anymore, but it's really transforming how companies are approaching recruitment processes. So AI can really support to how candidates are interviewed, how they are also selected, screened, etc. So there are many ways where AI can support in recruitment. But of course, there are also challenges. There are certainly a lot of opportunities, but challenges. So we are talking today about these topics. So really practical challenges like how can you start using AI in recruitment processes? What about this whole topic with automation and human judgment? What to do with these topics? Legal and compliance. So GDPR often comes up. And how to really ensure fairness, transparency in AI-driven decisions. So, as I mentioned, we will unpack these topics over this 1 hour webinar. And after the discussion, we show ALLPS.ai demo, and we'll have a time for questions. So, if you have any questions, you can put them in the comment section in LinkedIn, or we can also take them live. We are recording this session, so that you're aware. So if you don't want to be in the recording and you still have questions, you can put them in the comment section. And this recording will be then later available in ALLPS.ai LinkedIn page, so you can find it there. But I'm happy now to introduce our panelists, who we are talking about this topic. So we have first János Villi. So he's a founder and consultant in recruitment, having a lot of experience this area at Salt Recruitment. And I'll let you just introduce yourself shortly. And then we have also Jakir Mohammed. He's a founder of ALLPS.ai, so really experienced professional in AI development in recruitment. But I'll let you first, János, go ahead, so you can introduce yourself and tell a little bit about your background.
Perfect. Thanks a lot for the intro, Laura. I'm János. I work in talent acquisition almost for more than a decade. Started within a personal agency with a headhunter for several years. And then just when COVID hit, I started to work at Migo Genossenschaftsbund, where I was responsible for setting up the active sourcing service group-wide, and also the candidate relationship tool, talent pool. So before I started soft recruiting, I was working in a quite big conglomerate, and I'm really curious always to learn how technology can make recruitment or anything better or can help. So that's why I'm always like looking out for new tools, for new features, stuff like that. And that's how I find out about ALLPS, and I'm really curious to talk with you guys today.
Thank you, János. It's really interesting intersection in recruitment, but also in the tech area, so which is obviously relevant for HR. Then I give the floor to you, János. Jakir, so you can also introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure, Laura. It's great to be part of this panel. Thank you for initiating this. So my name is Jakir Mohammed, founder and CEO from ALLPS.ai. So My background is I started working as an enterprise architect at Credit Suisse. So this is like long 10 years back. And I was part of a recruitment team there to hire architects. And later I started ID freelance platform called ipropel.com together with partners. And we onboarded like 50,000 developers in the platform. So basically the platform was helping them to find the right projects, yeah, for the talent. So that's how we started, and we were doing a lot of interviews as part of that process, right? So I think we did like 200 interviews to shortlist the talent, and we onboarded more than 50 plus developers for different companies across Europe. So our company ALPS is based in Zurich, and we are here for more than 8 years and performing these activities. So I was all doing manually, using LinkedIn and other tools. And it was taking a lot of time for me to screen the talent because sometimes you get irrelevant applications and that is time consuming. You're spending a hell lot of time in shortlisting. And the whole process was manual. And that is where the idea of ALLPS.ai was born, where we said, okay, can AI perform this task in a very like defined manner, rather than getting all kind of data. So that's how ALLPS.ai was started. And as part of that journey, technology also was enhanced, and we got great opportunity here to leverage agentic platform such a way that building multiple agents performing different tasks as part of the recruitment process. So that's the background, and looking forward for the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Jakir. It's really impressive. You're really like executive, but really also deep knowledge in HR area. I will today I will moderate this discussion, but I will also give a short introduction to my my profile. So my name is Laura Kiviharju. I'm an independent legal advisor. I specialize in tech topics or data related legal topics. So this is mostly AI regulations, data protection, cybersecurity. I'm also a lead implementer in ISO standards, cybersecurity and AI governance standards 27001 and 42001 standards. I'm currently, I'm also based in Zurich and working independently, but in the past I worked in different industries, both in private sector and then also in the government and regulators side. So these are, for example, the telecom sector, cybersecurity, defense, public sector, also here in Switzerland. And I've come across HR topics in many of my roles that I worked in the past, because in any company, of course, we have a HR department and questions about how to deal with candidate data in a compliant GDPR compliant, and now these days also AI compliant way. And I have also worked in a media and tech area with companies who are job platforms, so job portals. So that's also one touch point that I have in this specific area. But I'm really excited to go through kickstart the questions. So we have really exciting topics. And I want to start with you, Janos. I mean, you're really experienced specialist in recruitment, talent acquisitions, and you're really there with companies to deal with the when they are thinking about using AI or already using AI. So what is when you're working with companies in really everyday challenges? So what are the most common pain points that you see and you come across?
Mm-hmm. For sure, there are many pain points, but like I would say, first, it's like essential that companies still get enough applications, so like that they attract candidates, because if you don't attract the right ones, you don't need to go through a lot of candidates afterwards. But so that's like the first step. But saying that like within the company, or what's really like taking a lot of time is still nowadays like also the big ATS, applicant tracking system, like with a lot of them, you still need to filter, like go through the CVs, click, comment. So it takes a lot of effort to, let's say, come down from, let's say, 150 candidates and find the, let's say, 5 most suitable ones. So like that's like quite time consuming. And then after that, for sure, it's really complicated, because like finding a slot that works for, let's say, the hiring manager, booking the right conference room if it's on site, plus the candidate. So sometimes it's like 4 or 5 people in the interview. So that's like something that, in my opinion, it should be done much easier, much more easy, because it's generally quite an easy topic, let's say. And then for sure, like what I think is like going through the interviews, like interviews, we all know, is like quite time consuming. You need to prepare a lot before, then you need the time for the interview, and you need to write down your stuff if it's not done automatically. So I still see and I mostly speak for, let's say, Swiss-based companies, because I know that in the US or in India or in other countries, AI is already much more, let's say, into HR. And in Switzerland or in Swiss companies, I often still see that on a maturity level, we are quite in the beginning if we talk about AI in recruitment.
Yeah, there's a really interesting topics. We like there is a lot to manage. I mean, for one recruiter, a lot of data, but a lot of this kind of logistics also. And then that's of course where we also come to this AI point. You mentioned, like, okay, in Switzerland, I think that might be also broadly status in Europe, because also we have more regulations compared to, for example, in US, that implementation is not that fast. So, but how would you summarize, like what do you see? What's the more like a status in Swiss companies at the moment? Like, are they really in the first steps, thinking to whether they're jumping or not? And is there any difference between like bigger corporates, smaller companies, companies in between? So what's kind of your really the practical insights on this that you have?
Yeah, I would say a lot of companies want to like implement or to use AI, let's say in HR or specifically in recruitment. So I think it's not so much the question of want, but then like really often it's like concerns, are we really compliant? What about EU AI Act? So like I see concerns in that area. And also on the other hand, like we don't know how candidates are going to take it. So because we always need to consider that candidate experience or the candidate journey is really essential for the company. And like having, let's say, automated, or like it's not fully automated, because we talk about that later, but let's say kind of automated, we still need to make sure that the candidates like accept it. And maybe it would be the easiest way to start in an area where the competition is really high, or let's say the quantity of applications is high, because then it might makes it easier to start with, because the candidates are like more used to have higher competition than like you're searching someone in a really specific area and you get 5 CVs. So maybe then it wouldn't be like the best case to start with.
Yeah, like and how much it really maybe disrupts the recruitment process, because of course with AI you maybe gain benefits being more efficient, but what kind of other effect it has. So that's a really important aspect, of course. And how will people perceive if they would be interviewed by an AI agent?
Yeah.
Like in the future.
I think as everywhere, like it's all about communication. So it needs to be really transparent, that like candidates knew, let's say from the beginning, what's the process looks like. Or also it might be a good thing to start, let's say, with calling it a pilot project in a, let's say, smaller or specific area, to say, hey, AI is everywhere, and like we want to do the next step, but it needs to be in a, let's say, in a human way, because otherwise, it could lead to, let's say, not so good reputation of the company, maybe.
Yes, exactly. And I think the message, what you mentioned about the bigger companies, smaller companies, it doesn't really necessarily matter. I mean, either way, you shouldn't even you shouldn't think as a smaller company that, okay, this is not for us, it's only for bigger companies.
No,
Equally, everyone
sometimes
has
the
challenges
opposite.
and everyone has questions, so it should not be
Yeah, yeah.
decisive point to
Yeah,
this.
the questions are, I would say, or the concerns, they are like similar, and like sometimes it can be even easier to adapt or to use new technology in a smaller company, because yeah, I know also how it is in a big conglomerate where you need to go through like huge IT departments, a lot of legal stuff, which still might be the case in a smaller one, but on a different scale. So sometimes it can be even easier for startups or like smaller companies to get things running, kind of.
Yeah, absolutely. They have more flexibility, not that many internal stakeholders to convince processes to adapt, etc. So I think you already touched some points that I wanted to discuss next. So really those challenges and really how to start. So I think you mentioned already, some points, and Jakir also you will have insights on that. So when these companies, I mean, if you're really a company, okay, you haven't really, maybe you use a little bit ChatGPT, but you haven't really started using AI, especially in recruitment. So what do you think? I will ask you first, and then I ask also Jakir. But what would be the first steps, and maybe shortly, like what things to consider in the beginning?
Yes, like for sure, like number one will always be, is it like GDPR compliant, is it EU AI compliant, even if we are talking about Switzerland. So I think most of the time this needs to be like, or there was like the first question. So any tool that the companies might use needs to meet these standards, because otherwise like it won't last long. So I think that's maybe the first or the biggest point to take into account. And then, as said, like IT departments need to be involved. Like it still needs to be done as let's say a proper project. Even so, we will hear that later with ALLPS. It's not like complicated to integrate, but still everything needs to band like correctly. Even so, it's easy to use.
Yeah. And then, Jakir, what would you say, from your experience, the project you have seen, what are the first steps, or like really important points to think in the beginning, when the company is in the beginning of their journey? And maybe you could also mention like where, like in which processes AI can be integrated when we really talk about recruitment. So which could be the first easy ways to start making things more effective with AI.
Yeah, sure, Laura. I mean, it's an interesting conversation, right? I mean, what I have seen in my experience working with companies is it is super important to define the problem statement, right? I mean, what you want to achieve as a first step, rather than looking at the tech and then jumping into the solution, right? So first, understanding whether candidate quality is important, or having a system that is doing unbiased hiring, or helping you to recruit the best talent through the unbiased methods. And is it important to save the time spent in the screening? Is that the important aspect? So we need to categorize what are the main objectives of the goal we want to achieve using the AI solution. So that would be the first step, because I mean, you shouldn't start with the tech and then start the problem you want to solve, right? So that's going to cause more damage. So this is what I have seen, and obviously AI needs the data, right? Without having the relevant data, and also the governance and guardrails behind it, you can't just have a solution and see the results, right? So you need to define some clear KPIs and then work on that. But we have seen some initial great results, because we also did some internal hiring with our tool that we have built, because that's the purpose first we built, and we saw, okay, there is a good advantage, we can roll it out for the market, and that's when we are bringing to the market.
Yeah, maybe follow up on that, especially in the KPIs, and really get started. So I mean, it's important to find the bottlenecks, like where can you really bring benefits. But what would you say, like there's this whole topic of return of investments, and there are different AI pilots project, but then they maybe didn't bring any results. So how would you say for companies, or maybe it's a manager in a company who wants to implement an AI solution, to really show the benefit of AI solution and return of investment? Can you maybe add something on that and really these KPIs?
Yeah, definitely. So in terms of, I mean, it depends on sourcing or screening, right? So is the pain point sourcing or screening? So how much time your team is spending, and you might have a lot of requests to onboard more people, but you will have less capacity. So this could be one example. So in such cases, AI can shine really well, where you don't have to do the initial screening, and also, reaching out to different channels to get the right talent. Yeah. So basically, in terms of return of investment, what I have seen in my experience is, like, you could save a lot of time in the initial screening, mainly like when you get a lot of applications, you're spending, let's say, 8 hours per day, yeah, in screening 100 applications, and that is a lot. You can't do it in the right way. So that is where, if you can delegate that task to AI, and that is doing the initial screening, and you are seeing only the top matched applicants based on your job relevancy. So that way you can reduce a lot of time. So that means here we are looking at saving like 50% of your efforts. So the idea here is, AI is not going to replace the recruiters. I mean, that's the title we are looking at. But what we are saying is, it's like a co-pilot. So you are still the pilot, and it gives you the better relevant profiles. So you could work with the relevant profiles rather than spending time with the irrelevant profiles. Yeah.
And maybe quantifying also this, that from the beginning that, okay, we use X amount of hours using screening, and then you can also compare it with AI to really also for the management to see that, okay, this really makes sense, or maybe some cases it doesn't. So then, but you have the numbers there. I will go back to Janos, because you mentioned like these concerns already with AI. Have you seen, like with companies who maybe they stepped in, but then something made them stop? So did you see some really like roadblockers in projects, in different recruitment projects related with AI that companies encountered?
To be honest, like with companies that I'm in contact with, or like with people that I talk in different HR networks in Switzerland, there aren't that many companies that are already like, let's say, on the way to really have AI integrated within the recruitment processes. So if someone in the audience knows about, let's say, companies that are already quite automated in recruitment, it would be interesting to hear that. So I think there is like still these kind of concerns, and it also depends about the type of company, because if the pressure to, let's say, often it's the pressure to reduce FTEs and to see how can we handle sometimes the flood, let's say, better. And I see that sometimes the pressure is not yet big enough to try to do the start. And I also think that sometimes instead of just starting, let's say, as I said, with a small pilot within a specific area, companies are quite afraid, and they wait till maybe, let's say, a big one within their industry is going to make the first move, and then they might follow. So I guess there is quite a vacuum at the moment, and there will be, I guess, I don't have the crystal, how do you say it in English, Kristallkugel, but yeah, there will be a lot of shifts in HR, in recruitment the next months and years for sure.
Yes. Then maybe one point to touch also, because we talked about these different topics with the implementation projects. What would you say about including recruiters and hiring managers in the process? Do you have some insights on that? How you should do it? We talked about this. It's not just a tech topic, but overarching project. So, do you have some insights on that?
Insights, not specifically, but my point of view. So like I would always integrate or like have hiring managers or like HR leaders or whoever integrated or in the loop from the beginning, because if not all relevant stakeholders agree that, let's say, the pilot project won't be like implemented in broader scope later. So I think, because the thing is still, I see it with recruiters that they are kind of, yeah, I won't say completely afraid, but there are concerns that they might lose their job, or like that FTs, as said, are going to be reduced. So for example, me, I'm always really open and like, but I see also many concerns in, let's say, in recruiters. So it's also really important to make clear that it's not a tool to, let's say, reduce them or get rid of their jobs, but to help. And like for anyone that had like maybe 20, 25 positions recruiting at the same time with, let's say, old school systems, that's like almost impossible to do it in a, let's say, in the perfect candidate experience level that we wanted to have.
Yes, that's very, very important. We'll just soon go to this more on these compliance topics, but I just quickly wanted to ask also Jakir, if do you have any pointers on this, like including recruiters, hiring managers in the process? What were there some reasons why some projects that you saw stopped because they were showstoppers? Do you have some maybe shortly?
Yeah,
On that?
my advice is always to involve recruiters and hiring managers early, so that obviously they get hands-on experience with obviously to understand the process and where AI can help, so they can focus on the talent side, right, rather than screening through the documents, for example. So definitely, what I have seen is, if the hiring managers are involved very early, then the whole process becomes seamless and it goes with the flow. So if that is not the case, then they are not convinced. I mean, recruiters are not convinced and they will not use the tool. So the whole purpose is defeated. So it's very important to get them onboarded upfront and also get their feedback. So this can be fine-tuned, the systems can be fine-tuned. And my advice is always to start small, measurable, and onboard a set of recruiters and do a pilot in one team, with one team or a region, right? So that would bring recruiters and hiring managers early into the process. Yeah, so that will add a lot of trust for sure. Yeah.
And then you can take like lessons learned and then not
Yeah.
have a full
Yeah,
scale.
because we have seen, right, when ChatGPT came 3 years, 2 years before, no one was using it, and there was sudden boom, right? Because people started to get trust of the software, and they're sharing a lot of details. If you look at it, so now, I mean, if you compare with solutions, what we are looking at recruitment, it's it's still in a very close loop, So that's how I see it.
Yeah, absolutely. But let's go more on this compliance and legal
Yeah.
topics. Sometimes a bit scary, but not maybe the fun side of the business always. But Janos, you mentioned that this is also a topic, right? That companies are wondering, like, what should we? And maybe smaller companies, they don't have a huge legal departments, right? So I will have Jakir questions for you, but before we go to these questions, I would like to mention a few points, especially from the legal side, the data protection side, like what are important, and I think this is really like also for smaller companies. I mean, if you're a big company, I mean, the advice is obviously go to your legal advisor, your legal department, and as early as possible, so that there is no let's say, delays in the process if you plan everything and only in the last part the project, consult the legal counsels. But really, like from my point of view and what I have seen in different tech projects is that start early also with these compliance topics, and from the data protection side, for example, what is really important is that Janusz, you mentioned really the transparency, that you're transparent towards the candidates, and this is already now like in Swiss Data Protection Act, also GDPR. You need to inform the candidates how you process your data. So it's important if you use AI with candidate data that you check your data candidate privacy policy. So this is not your website privacy policy, but you should really explain, give the candidates detailed information, like the purposes of data processing. So if you use AI to analyze candidate data, so you should put that in your privacy notice. Also, like we mentioned earlier, automated decision making. I mean, typically this is not the case. AI tools are often, they give recommendations, and then there is a person, maybe a hiring manager, typically they will make the final decision. But if you would use AI tools to make really automated decision making, this is also, you need to be transparent. And in fact, you also need to give the people to a possibility to, so to say, opt out, so they can say, no, I want this to be reviewed by a real person. But this is more for the future. I mean, we see in at least in recruitment that typically there is really real human in the loop. And another really key point when you're dealing with the vendors, different AI vendors, is that you check the contract. So it's not sometimes happens that there is no written contract in place. I mean, if you deal with big providers, they certainly have their standard contracts, but sometimes it happens that maybe there are some security specifications that they are not part of the contract. So it's one important thing is to check that you have everything included in the contract. You have so-called data protection agreement in place. And with AI, it's really important also to add in the contract that the provider, AI provider, is not allowed to use the data for any purposes possible. So it should be restricted to what is relevant for providing this AI tool, this service. And you should also restrict, or at least restrict or exclude that the provider is using freely, let's say really freely, the data for developing their own model. So this is relevant for protecting the personal data, but also if there would be like copyright protected data, typically not in the HR process though. And liability, that's also please also read the liability clauses in the contract. That can be very surprising. Maybe there's really, it's limited to $1,000 US, and the provider beyond that, they are not liable. So that's one really key aspect. We talked also about we are also, myself, I'm based here in Switzerland, but we mentioned EU AI Act. So that's like recruitment is so-called high risk AI area. So there it's really important to check, like, are you really operating in Switzerland, or do you have a lot of candidates in coming from Europe? You might be then caught by the EU AI Act. But in Switzerland, I mean, this question comes up really a lot, like what's happening in Switzerland, but there is no specific law in place yet. There will be a proposal coming up next year, but it will take even after next year time that it will be enacted into a law, and it's not clear. It's mentioned that in Switzerland there will be potentially a like sector-specific regulation and not this kind of overarching law in place. But these are certainly topics to consider. Do you have a check here, maybe, or Janos, either of you from the legal side, concerns that you heard from your projects or clients?
Janusz, you want to go first?
I don't have, like, at the moment, as said, I don't have like clients or AI projects in recruitment ongoing. So I would pass the question to you, Shakir.
Yeah. So obviously, the GDPR, we can start with GDPR, right? So GDPR compliance is an important aspect. And here I see consent management is super important. So any kind of data that you're taking as part of the platform. So you need to get a consent, and especially in this case of recruitment, where you're dealing with talent data. So consent management is very, very important. We understand this, and uh, so there are different steps, right? So it's not only capturing the data, but you need to check with the talent every 6 months whether we can keep this data. So we enable all this kind of automation, so the consent management can be handled automatically, obviously. And I mean, apart from that, the bias, right? So we can take in terms of AI screening. Bias is also an important aspect. So the recommendation is unbiased, and in terms of extracting the data, we look at only the skills, experience, and also the functional context, so that when we perform the algos to match with the right profiles, so we look at only this kind of data, but not at the private data. So this way we keep some guardrails, like many guardrails, I would say, to be honest. So that way we kind of close this border such a way that you avoid hallucination and make sure there is no bias. Yeah. So the underlying model also is supporting this. We kind of verify on a constant basis, so the algos are not getting deviated. So that's where human in the loop also gets very important, because every recommendation that is made, the recruiter can give immediate feedback, so they can see the results and they see, okay, this is relevant, it's not relevant. And then you can kind of give feedback to the AI agent here. So that way it's involving the recruiter also in the process. The AI is not making one decision here, it's purely recommending you. And explainability, you touched on the topic, and explainability is also very important, where why a relevant profile is matched, what is the reason behind it. So the explainability factor comes into play, and this is getting better and better, I would say. Yeah.
Yes, I mean, you mentioned many topics like the consent. It's really important if you keep the candidates' CVs in the talent pool. So then you need to collect the consent if it's just beyond one application and one role. So this is for talent pools. That's certainly relevant. We'll go soon to the demo, but just let's just discuss shortly about these topics that you mentioned, Shakir. You might have heard a case. I mean, this is probably the most famous AI unsuccessful project in recruitment area. So with Amazon, they actually had, this is already about 10 years ago, AI tool for recruitment. And what they actually did was that they took the historical candidate data dating back for many years, and they are tech company. So the candidates were mostly male men candidate, and they trained their system with this data, and the tool quite fast it learned to really prefer male candidates. So it would almost always then suggest instead of if there was a good female candidate, the tool would suggest a male candidate. And after the fact, they basically found it impossible to change it, because once you train the AI system, it can be really difficult to go back. But could you maybe, Shakir, add a few points on that? Really, like, how did you? This is really like important topic for the training data and being not biased, not discriminate. So how did you deal with this in your system?
Yeah. I can go back to this news, related to Amazon. So I think in this case, if you train AI on a biased data set, then the results will be biased. So we understand this problem, and our approach is very different. Yeah. So we basically extract only relevant information specific to skills, experience, and discard all the sensitive information, right? So so we don't look at gender or the nationality and things like that. So these are all very private specific data, and we don't need that information to match with the relevant profile. So this is where we can make it like real unbiased solution, right? So it does not look for that aspects when it is doing the matching. And the other important aspect is, we already get consent. Initially we had this freelance platform, and we got the consent of using this data from the talent, and then we used only this kind of information to prepare our models. But as the models got matured, we kind of enhanced, we came out of that sphere, so now the models are much matured, and you don't even have to give that kind of data set to leverage the solution. Yeah. So you can basically, whatever information is available in public, that is not getting used here, right? So it's only with the relevant information with defined guardrails. So that's what being used. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is really important also when choosing any AI provider to ask these questions, like how did you train your AI, and also I think these topics, like you mentioned, the human in the loop, like explainability. These are typical AI recommendation tools, giving recommendation, maybe top 5 candidates to the recruiter, so that there is explainability, maybe some explanation in the tool saying why the candidate got the better score than the other. I don't know if you have some final pointers, Jakir, on this topic about responsible.
Yeah. I think we covered the most important one. And explainability, I'm also looking for enhancing, right? Not only showing why this is a good match, and also taking the feedback from the recruiters in the platform. So combining these aspects, and if we can take it to the next level, giving more transparency for both candidates and recruiters, I think this is the next step, what I'm looking at in the solution perspective. Yeah.
So that it's interactive, also getting the feedback from the recruiters. Okay, then let's look at some from future outlook. So, like, what do you see happening in? I don't know how fast things happen. Maybe in 6 months, it's going to be a different picture. But maybe a few years from now. So, will we be talking with the AI agents as a recruitment? Do we have a HR organization with people and AI agents? What do you see, Jakir? How does it?
Yeah, I see. Where the AI agents are performing some repetitive tasks, what the HR managers or recruiters are doing. So the repetitive tasks can be handled by the agents, and the HR managers, they can focus on people communication and engaging with the people. So this is not going to go away, because this is my view. If you ask Elon Musk or someone, they might have a different view. But I see from Europe perspective, and also looking at other companies, what US are doing. For me, having the human in the loop is very important. So, here we need to keep the candidate also in mind, so he gets the best experience of the whole aspect, right? So the way I see it is, in future, there will be a lot of agents. Obviously, if not us, someone else is going to bring it to the market, and there will be a lot of agents performing this repetitive tasks, and it goes as a co-pilot. So that's the way I see it, where there is a lot of efficiency gains, and obviously companies can engage with the talent in scale, because right now companies are unable to engage with the talent in scale, right? Like if you have 100 applications, you can't talk to everyone. So with agentic solutions, this is possible. Yeah. So that way you can get the brand out and get things moving in a rapid market. Yeah. So you can also be competitive in the market, and you can be the leader in that recruitment space. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting points that many candidates, if there are jobs where you have really a lot of applications, they are disappointed, or it's not really good because they don't get any feedback. I mean, unless you went really to the last point of the process. So maybe with AI, it's easier then, or it's possible to give some kind of feedback. Maybe it's not like one-on-one from the hiring manager, but at least you could leverage and give some more personalized feedback. So yeah, I think that's an interesting point. Janos, do you have some from your Google?
Yeah, I try to be quick that we can, I think, move on to the demo afterwards. Answering, or like, if we take the question again, can AI actually replace recruiters? I would say reduce recruiters somehow, because in the end, if let's say we can automate repetitive tasks, which I personally think doesn't bring the most value of an experienced recruiter, that would lead to, let's say, having less recruiters. But like a totally replacement, I don't see it coming, let's say, in the next months. And I think also it depends about, are we talking about Europe, or, as said, I take again the example of India or Dubai. I just recently read something in LinkedIn about having 3,000 applications in LinkedIn within a few days. So nobody can handle that. And in that case, I think, yes, like AI will reduce recruiters, but I don't see a like complete replacement soon.
Yeah, maybe there's certain slowness, but also realism in this part of the world. But yeah, okay. But let's now have a look at the demo. So we have prepared this demo, ALPS AI interview agent. So this will take a few minutes, and then we have also time. I can see that we have in the comments people have written comments, and I think we have also questions there. So yeah, let's have a look at the
And thank you for
demo.
joining us today.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So is that good, Laura? Then I start present, or?
Yes, go ahead. Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Excited to introduce ALLPS.ai, our AI native talent platform, built to transform how enterprises hire and assess talent. With Terra, our AI interview agent, ALLPS.ai enables you to automate interviews, save hundreds of recruitment hours, ensure fair, consistent, and compliant candidate assessments at scale. Let us look at the demo.
Meet the ALLPS.ai dashboard, built for smarter, faster, and more efficient recruiting. You can view the full list of jobs by selecting the View Jobs option. Select any job to schedule the AI interview for the candidate. Let's take a look at this jobs pipeline, a complete overview of all candidates in the hiring process. Open the Actions menu to schedule an AI interview. Scheduling the candidate's interview is easy. Just choose the Schedule AI interview option. Set the interview date and time. Choose the experience and difficulty level. Select the number of questions and language. Then, click Confirm to schedule the interview. The AI interview for the candidate has been successfully scheduled using ALLPS.ai.
The AI interviewer Terra is conducting a voice interview with the candidate. The video shown is for demonstration purposes only. In practice, interviews are conducted entirely through voice, ensuring the candidate's privacy is protected.
Hello. I'm Tara, your AI interviewer for today. Welcome. We're interviewing for the Senior Technical Architect, Blockchain and Java Technologies role. To get started, could you please tell me a little bit about yourself and your experience?
Hi Tara, it's great meeting you. My name is Zakir. I'm working as an enterprise architect in the trading domain for a second largest Swiss bank, defining architecture. My responsibilities include understanding the requirements and coming up with solution options, working closely with the dev teams. That's in a nutshell. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
It's great to have you here. Let's dive into the first question. Explain the concept of a smart contract in the context of blockchain technology and how it can be implemented using Java.
It's an agreement between two parties. It can be a work contract or it can be a service contract.
I appreciate you sharing your thoughts on that. Now let's explore another aspect of your experience with my next question. How would you explain the benefits of using a service-oriented architecture, SOA, to a non-technical stakeholder, and what role do you think Java and blockchain technologies play in this context?
So the simplest way to explain service-oriented architecture is suppose you're building a car and you have different components in a car, steering wheel, engine. Every component will have a function or many functions, and it's the same concept in building software too, specific to service.
That actually brings us to the end of my questions. Thank you for sharing your experience with me. Have a great day.
After the interview, the hiring manager can instantly review structured assessment by Terra, including candidate responses, skill scores, and key insights, to make faster and more informed hiring decisions.
Once the interview is complete, a detailed AI-powered evaluation report is generated automatically. You can access it anytime. Just head over to the candidate's profile or the interview section and click on View Evaluation Report. Here, we can see the AI-generated report, created based on the candidate's responses. Along with the overall report, you can easily access the candidate's full transcript. The report is intelligently generated based on the candidate's strengths and weaknesses. Thanks for watching. Ready to experience effortless recruiting? Try ALLPS.ai today and transform your recruitment process.
Thank you for joining us today. With Terra, our AI interview agent, you can streamline hiring and ensure fair, consistent, and compliant candidate assessments at scale. You'll give every talent a fair chance, showcase your corporate brand and benefits to attract the very best candidates. We look forward to helping you transform your hiring process.
Okay, yeah, I think we can open for the questions at the moment, or Laura, handing over to you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So that's really a real-time view to the interviewing agent, how it looks like. I see in the comments that there are people have written some comments, and you see there are people from Bern, Basel, Zurich, and there is one question actually here also. I think this is for you, Jakir. So, but AI will check only matching the words from position description. Candidates can redo CV using words from description. They will not be relevant candidates, or the logic will be different. So,
Right.
I guess it's about like how does maybe it goes back to the explainability, like how does it match the skills and the candidates? Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, I take this question. So the thing is, CVs can be generated, and we understood this, and that is where we are bringing the interview agent Tara, so that it can validate the technical skills and do the initial screening, right? So it is talking to the talent directly, like how a recruiter is calling the talent. Yeah. So there are two levels of screening, the initial screening, the way I see it. One is you check, okay, is the CV relevant or not? And that is what AI is doing. But if the CV is generated based on the job description, you cannot really check, if this person is having this particular skill. And that is where interview agent Tara can talk to the talent and assess the talent and do the initial screening. And basically the transcription is available for the recruiters, so they can make a decision if this is relevant. I mean, if the skills, whatever are mentioned, is really relevant. And they can also define the skills in projects, right? The project experience. So we can configure Tara for every company and for every different job, so that the right questions are asked. And if the talent is unable to answer those questions, then you're not talking to that candidate. And that's the reality, right? So this is taking a step forward and doing a basic verification, like what a recruiter does. Yeah. And you can see the whole transcription and make a decision whether you want to talk to the candidate or not. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then there is a follow-up on this. Is it just based on the the words that the candidates use, the analysis, or is there some soft skill?
Soft skill analysis.
Or
Okay. Yeah, probably I was jumping in. Yes, the thing is, it is looking at technical skills or domain skills, right? So industry-specific domain skills, and it's also looking at soft skills. Yeah. So we are enhancing the agent to also look at the soft skills, communication skills, so that this can be leveraged and given as a feedback to the recruiter. Yeah.
But is there some emotion detection, or it doesn't go to this
No,
direction? It's
I
focused
mean,
on the content rather.
yeah, focused on the content, voice,
Okay.
actually, because there is no video interview here. It's
Mhm.
purely audio interview, so it is focused on the voice, and it also detects if someone is cheating. Just using some other voice, some other person is taking the interview on this person's behalf, right? So it is possible to detect, and in future we are also going to add some kind of authentication for this, so that I mean, in LinkedIn also we have this authentication or some kind of verification, right? So we are going to go forward based on the requirements we get from the market or feedback we get from the market. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Then we have rather a comment. So it's also the topic that we were talking about. So human plus AI balance. So AI helps reduce manual screening time, but recruiters still add the judgment. So culture fit, motivation, career progression, communication style, and this AI cannot fully evaluate. And it's also important that like typically these kind of tools, they are recommendation tools, so it's you really have the human in the loop, and then it's also, let's say, from a compliance point of view, you have more control. Like you're not relying fully on AI, but you have human
Yeah.
human in the loop. So that's
Yeah,
so
absolutely. It's also important to have the human in the loop here, and the judgment, right? The final decision is still made by the hiring manager and recruiter. So what AI is doing is the initial screening, right? Which is done manually, and you're spending a lot of time rather than talking to the right candidates or talent, right? So this is where actually the hiring manager comes into play, and this remains, it is not going to be done by AI where it's making a decision for you. It is not possible because we know AI has certain limitations, and that's not there. Yeah. So this is just the first level screening, and the second level screening still need to happen, where you talk to the talent personally, I would say. So for the second round, like how you're doing, it shall happen as is. So yeah, I mean, recruiters who embrace AI obviously will have more time to do the important things rather than doing the mundane things. So this is the key message, I would like to pass. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And then also important for companies using any AI tools, also in recruitment, to then monitor like how it performs, so that like in this case you get AI recommendations, or then also review all the candidates maybe once in a while. Also those that were maybe not recommended, and it's a task of the AI provider, but also that you have a process in place so that it was not just tested once, but you have testing, monitoring
Yeah.
throughout using the whole system. I think we're almost end of time now. There are no other questions in the comments box. I don't know if someone in the call has really maybe a quick question. Otherwise, let me see. Yes, that was really the last question. Otherwise, we are quite ready to wrap up. So, yeah, so thank you very much, Jakir, Janos. It was really interesting discussion, and obviously these topics you could go much more deeply. Like the human in the loop, also the compliance legal topics, like practical implementation. But I hope we could give you like a insights and overview how it looks like, how it could look like implementing AI in the recruitment processes. So as I mentioned, we will publish the recording in the LinkedIn. So this will be in the ALPS AI LinkedIn page available. Then later you will see it there. And yeah, I would say maybe you have questions later. So feel free to contact myself, Janos, Jakir. So if there's something popping up, then later. But with that, thank you very much joining this webinar, and happy Swiss AI Week. So hopefully a great also join.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Looking forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
It was a
Bye-bye.
pleasure.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.